The greatest podcast for elite losers is back. 2 or 3 days delayed. It's Monday. It's Monday, June 10th. And usually we release it on Saturdays. But I just didn't want to do one. I was just sitting there watching poker. It's not like, oh, I have so much shit to do. And excuse me, I'm just breaking a fast. So if I have my athletic greens, but not athletic greens, whatever cheaper version is at Whole Foods that I steal. But I'm sitting there watching poker and I'm like, I'm not doing nothing, but I have 4 shows that night. So I had to write and I had to rub one out, but I'm not doing nothing. I should record this for the boys and girls who support the podcast. And I'm like, fuck them. They're gonna have to wait till I'm mentally stimulated and let me just say, I'm just an asshole who very rarely gets mentally stimulated. But I had nothing to talk about. I was just gonna rant like a babbling buffoon, which I do always, but at least I have subjects I can rant on. And then from the grace of God, the gifts of the God, the gifts of the deities, the gifts of the muse, 2 topics came into my head, 2 topics. So I just also, before I talk, I want to give a shout out to Lauren. First cameo. I don't know if I've given you a shout out on the pod before. You're a longtime supporter. I do the cameo, JJ Lieberman Live. I appreciate it. I've had one since. So because of you, I've 100% increased my cameo, requests. And they loved it too. You said you loved it. So if anyone's here on the podcast, go to cameo.com/JJ Lieberman Live, and we'll do one for the boys and girls. But we'll make it crazy as you want. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Take down my cameo account. Take down my cameo account for being pro-Germany World War II. Weren't your grandparents in the Holocaust? Yes. But anyways, so with that being said, we're back to the old background. We're gonna buy some art for the back of there, and we're gonna buy some lights. We're gonna microphone. We're gonna get a actual camera that's not my phone, and we're going to go to Valhalla with this podcast because it is the greatest podcast for elite losers. And if you are an elite loser, you're at the right place. But I also have to still do my taxes. I have an extension, and I have the meeting with an accountant, but I always push it back. But I have them all in order. I just don't want to pay. It's like $400. And Thor is an expensive dog, and so is Moses. So get the cameo. We have no sponsors. We have no sponsors on this podcast. You need so this is how the math works. There's something called CPM. This is how, so basically for every 1,000, it's like an algorithm, or it's an equation to figure out for every 1,000 listeners, you get X dollars, and industry standard is $20. But if you're like someone like Joe Rogan, you're doing a much higher CPM. But if you're someone like JJ Lieberman, you're doing much lower. So even if we had $10,000 listeners, you're not getting $200 per every 10,000. You're getting 12, which is still great. Like $120 to run a Backscape or Manscape or hey, get this powder. My balls stink. It's great. $120 every 10,000. And I know these are the podcast people should do because it's a very loyal audience. If 10,000 people listen to this every episode, 60% of that, insane. Do you have money? I don't know. Are you supportive? Fuck yeah. So with that being said, let's build it up to 10,000 insane lunatics. And then if probably 15% support the sponsors, you're probably killing it. So with that being said, I listen when I work out. I turn the phone off. I have to have a clear mind. So I love just scrolling, refreshing to see how videos do. It's sick. I'm sick in the head. I'm sick in the head before doing that. But if you knew, I would just sit there, watch a movie and just, by the way, Guy Ritchie, The Gentleman, incredible show. I can only partake in one per episode, but I turn off everything. Same as the gym. I go on airplane mode and I listen to podcasts. But when I'm not on airplane mode, I'm like this, just refresh, refresh, refresh. All that dopamine seeping into my skin. I love it. Oh my God. Who doesn't love dopamine? Who doesn't? It makes you sad? Are you crazy? Then how come when I'm doing it, I feel better? I feel superhuman. Not even when I'm like watching porn, I don't feel like they say porn is dopamine. Are you kidding me? Refreshing my likes is it's disgusting. I'm a sweaty pig just getting dopamine more. The fact that I'm not 900 pounds is insane. I love mouth comfort. I love dopamine. I love all of this. So anyways, Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. It's that good of a show. But like other stuff, like when I'm watching other people rant on YouTube, I'm like, nah, I'm going through phone dopamine. But with that being said, so when I'm at the gym, I go on airplane mode, but I still listen to podcasts. And one of the recent ones, Rick Rubin's podcast, better than this podcast. And that's why this is the greatest podcast for elite losers. I'm telling you to listen to other people's podcasts. Pause this right now. In fact, unsubscribe to this and subscribe to Rick Rubin's Tetranamogram. I don't know how to say that word. It's too many syllables. So I'm listening to the recent one with Michael Richards, the Seinfeld guy, also known as Laugh Factory guy. By the way, I clapped when I thought that was a joke. So I did the exact opposite of everyone else in that viral video. People were like, oh, I love that reaction though. Yo, I would burn my career just to hear that reaction of the crowd go, oh, oh, like that old man who went up in front of that like local, it was like a local town hall meeting, and he says, good afternoon, all you cows and fat pigs. And the reaction is so brilliant from the women because they had no expectation. They thought he's going to come up there and like, the well's leaking. He said, you're a bunch of cows. And they went, oh my God, stop this man. And I'm like, yes, yo, I get chills. Chills watching that video. It makes me so happy. Just an unexpected sentence coming out of a 70-something-year-old man. These women had no idea what they're like. They thought, fix the pavement. He said, no, you're a bunch of pigs. Brilliant. So, anyways, so I watch, I don't even know how I got on that rant, but I'm listening to Michael Richards. Oh, yeah, because he dropped the N-word on stage. And then he was telling Rick Rubin, he's like, sometimes you take risks and they miss. You don't say. You thought that would be a home run? Are you crazy? I'm into guys. And I would never even drop faggot as much as you said the N-word. And I have the pass. So, but my whole point is listening to these guys talk, listening to him talk with Rick Rubin, and like listening to Robert Downey Jr. talk to Rick Rubin. And listening to how crazy they are makes you realize, the best artists are sociopathic. Like they're just crazy human beings. Don't get them on a public podcast. That's why I don't think there's a good podcast that's quarterbacked by an actor. Because these are insane, ill human beings like me. If I had to talk, that's why I want to watch Lex Friedman with Kevin Spacey. Oh my God. Because I just want to hear, this man's crazy. Like they're crazy human beings. I'm a crazy human being, but like I'm self-aware. I don't think I'm special. I'm just like, well, sometimes when I'm scrolling through likes on my phone. But other than that, like I realize, you're just some complete jerk. Like you're jerk off. But other than that, these guys they're like, I'm so talented. Like Michael Richards, Kramer start doing this like theater voice on the podcast. I'm like, you lunatic. But I did love you in Seinfeld. And that clip of the Laugh Factory. But yeah, that was just wild to me. But yeah, art. If you come to the like realization for all the the Michael Jackson hate, the R. Kelly hate, and I'm not saying they're right, but I'm just saying that great artists are severely flawed. Like you have to be severely flawed to be a great artist. Hold on, let me say if I'm not fucking recording this, woo! I would have been pissed because I was like, yo, remember that rant so you can go on stage with it. But, and then the other thing was, so I talk about titty milk on stage and people they're like, whoa, they'll give me that look. I'm like, yeah, let's hear about your fetish, buddy. Let's hear about your little disgusting act that you've never told your girlfriend. That's why you're going to break up in a couple years because every time you go on subreddits, you're looking at that and that she doesn't know and you can't get as hard as you really want, but you just, because something like toes, like I say it all the time, you just want to suck toes. And everyone's like all weirded out because maybe I have mommy issues or not and I want titty milk. But so that was the other thing too that I thought was interesting because I was doing a 6 p.m. show, which definitely they don't come to hear a guy yell about titty milk. But hey man, I wrote it down. Was it the best idea to end my set with titty milk? I was Laz, so they've heard it all, you hope, but probably not at 6 p.m. So I did it, and I blamed the 5 dudes from India. I'm like, I know you guys like toe sucking and some creepy shit, so don't judge me. And they were laughing when I said that, so clearly love toes, sniffing toes, or watching BBWs eat cake on the internet. That's the best one, hey? The feeders, you got some BBW, some big, beautiful woman stuffing confetti cake in her mouth, and she's making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And you tell me that me liking titty milk's crazy? No, that seems a little bit on par, if not better, than bitch eating cake for $15 a month. Plus if the private videos where, you can watch her eat a whole meal. Hey, there's so much food on the table that she's going to eat the whole meal for a $50 private video. And you're telling me that I just want to suck up that fucking milk cereal out of a chick's tits is gross. But anyways, so I just thought that. I thought that was unfair. An unfair judgment. But anyways, hey, this is fun. I enjoyed doing this. Sorry it's a couple days late, but this is the pod. Until we start monetizing it, we're not going to be on a crazy good schedule. I'll do this when I feel like we've got something to talk about. And it's once a week for sure. But I'm not going to force nothing and just put out slop. I'm not just going to put out, just take out my nutsack after I haven't shaved it and I haven't showered and still got baby powder from the sweat. And it's congealed into those balls. So we're going to do it good. And please, hey man, you don't have to send no money, but please support the Cameo. I will make you a funny video for about a minute, 45 seconds a minute, and rant it. Just tell me what you want me to rant on, and we'll rant away, baby. Cameo.com/JJ Lieberman Live. I think that's the page. But anyways, tune in next week. This is the greatest podcast for elite losers.